In this week's double parsha, in the beginning of Parshat Kedoshim, the Torah puts two mitzvot together. Ish imo v'aviv tirau, a person must have reverence for their mother and their father, v'chaptotah tishmoru, and you must guard my Sabbaths, ani Hashem, I am God. And the question is, why are these two put together? In fact, if we look in the Ten Commandments, we'll also see that it speaks about Shabbat, and then there afterwards it speaks about honoring parents. So why are these two mitzvot put together? And Rashi explains as follows. They're put together to tell us that if one's parents tell them to desecrate the Shabbat, you are not allowed to listen to your parents, because they also have to listen to Hashem. Therefore, a man shall have reverence and honor for his parents. However, he must keep the Sabbaths. And Rashi says, and so it is with the other mitzvot. If your parent comes to you and tells you to break a mitzvah, even though you have an obligation to honor your parents, nevertheless you are not obligated to listen to them, to honor them when they tell you to break a mitzvah of the Torah, because they are equally obligated to serve Hashem as you are, and therefore they cannot overrule him. However, it's often that these two relationships come into conflict. Rashi's just giving one example, where your parents tell you to break Shabbat. There's a famous case in the responsa of the Rashba, one of the famous Spanish rabbis of many centuries ago, where a man wanted to marry a certain woman, and his parents said, no, we don't like her, we do not want you to marry her. And the Rashba ruled that he is under no obligation to listen to his parents. One doesn't have to listen to one's parents in every single aspect of one's life. Here he has a mitzvah to get married, and to get married to the woman that he loves, and therefore, he doesn't have to listen to his parents. Yes, it's going to create a conflict and a tension. The same thing applies when it comes to cremation. Often people tell me, look, Rabbi, I know it's true that according to Jewish law, you have to bury somebody and not cremate them, but my parent asked me to cremate them. And I say to them, well, in this instance, you're not obligated to listen to your parents. If your parents told you to go and rob a bank, you wouldn't have to listen to them because it's a crime. According to Jewish law, it is forbidden to cremate a person. Therefore, you're not obligated to listen to your parents. And there were actually quite a few examples of this when we went down into lockdown. There were children who were studying in yeshiva. They were coming to a home which was not observant, which was not keeping Pesach, and yet they had to live in that home. And how did they balance their relationship with Hashem and their relationship with their parents? There is always a conflict. And one has to have an enormous amount of diplomacy. One has to think it through. And one has to have a rabbi. One has to have a religious advisor that you can speak to ask them, am I obligated to do this? Am I obligated to honor my parents? Or should I do what Hashem tells us to do? It's a difficult decision, but one always has to act in a diplomatic way and make sure to consult as much as possible. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.